Jesus. All right, Epic Spotlight Live. I got something to read today for you.
Do I wait? Do I look real bright right now?
Yes,
I do, don't I? Okay, you go ahead and read.
man,
Well, okay, calm down. Go ahead and read.
like light, bright light. What was that cartoon back in the day? That's what I'm thinking of.
That was one of my nicknames in high school.
Bright light, light,
Light,
bright.
light bright, and well, it's definitely this side.
I mean, is it
Cabbage
the sun
Patch,
coming in?
Casper, you name it.
Man, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Kids can be rough.
It's all right. I was athletic, smart, and popular. Whatever.
Anyways, you know what's so funny? Speaking of that, yesterday, like random, kid
Hmm.
from my high school, just like paid me this like compliment, and I was like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" Like out of nowhere. So shout out to Sasha Baba. Appreciate
Tasha,
you,
thanks
man.
for motivating our boy.
Man,
You
got me
probably went to
fired
a
up.
real high school though. I went to high school with like 12 people. I had a
Uh,
graduating class of 22, 21. That one girl didn't graduate. But I had a graduating class of like 21 people.
I'm like not too far away from you. Probably
Yeah.
12 times 8.
Oh, yeah. See? Yeah. My best friend before 3 years before me, he graduated with like 13, 14.
Oof.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I get it. So, no, I do understand. Today, we're stepping into one of life's biggest milestones and one of the biggest emotional roller coasters. By buying your first home, it starts as a dream, scrolling through listings late at night, picturing furniture that doesn't exist yet, imagining holidays in rooms you haven't even walked through. Then reality shows up: credit scores, pre approvals, interest rates, budgets that feel more like boundaries than possibilities. And suddenly the question isn't just, what house do you love? It becomes, what can I actually afford? What does my pre approval really mean? And how do I prepare so I don't make an expensive mistake? Because buying your first home isn't just about a purchase, it's a financial identity shift. You move from paying for space to owning responsibility, and from dreaming about stability to building it. And the truth: preparation is what separates confident buyers from overwhelmed ones. Today we're cutting through the noise. We're breaking down what first time buyers really need to know before they shop, before they offer, and before they sign. And that's why we're here. So, really, if people are listening to us today, they don't have to go to any more home buyer seminars for the rest of their life. We're going to cover what you're going to hear at any seminar. And we got two people that have what? How many years of experience do you have?
Well, I'm at
17?
16.
Okay, I was going. All right. So
Yeah.
16
Almost
plus.
17.
So
Oh,
we're literally giving you 40 years of experience right here on this call today. Literally, I want, and I'm going to say this multiple times today, love for you to like this, share this, and make sure you subscribe, but make sure you like and share this to anyone that is thinking about buying a house. All the graduates of 2026. This is all you need. This is all you need to hear. Am I right on that? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to roll.
What shocks buyers most when they start house hunting, in your opinion?
What shocks them most?
Yes. What have
Man,
you heard in the streets that really is like, oh man?
that people can't buy a house without money. Like that is so, there are so many, whether they be down payment assistance programs or closing costs, right? And then there are also a whole lot of people who are, I'm not going to call them liars, but they are not truthful about the process that they went through to get a home. And it really blows people's minds that they have to have more money than just their down payment. or let's say they saved up a bit for closing costs. Okay, you're doing great. But then they don't understand that you have to have reserves, right? The mortgage company wants to see that if you lose your job, you can still pay your mortgage for 3 months. Doesn't mean that's what you're going to do, but they want to be comfortable in the fact that you can.
I agree. One of the first things that we talk about, and I believe you would agree, is you want to get pre-approved for a mortgage, right? You want to go ahead and you want to say, hey, what do I qualify for? So I think that is kind of the initial shock that, like, what? I want to look at the house. Wait, you want me to do the paperwork first? I don't get it. Like, there's people out there that have to be motivated. And so
Hmm.
dangle the carrot in front of their face. So you want to show them this house. But the reality is they're looking at a house that they may not qualify for.
Right.
And
They
that's a
and
problem.
if they do, they may not be able to truly like be comfortable with the payment. But that happens a lot. People want to go look at a house and they have no idea if they qualify for it.
I have stats for you today. I know
Ooh,
you like stats.
data.
Data. Typical first time buyer down payment right now is 6 to 8%. 6 to 8% is the typical down payment for a first time home buyer right now. So, if mom or dad was giving you a gift, that's going to be the outliers that, give you the money for maybe 10% down, 20% down, or you've saved that type of money. In some households, they're allergic to the idea of FHA. It's
Yeah,
like, oh my God, you can't go FHA. Oh my
because
God, what's wrong
people
with you?
people don't know what they don't know.
So, so I think maybe they save a little bit more to get, the 5% down, the 10% down. So the average, obviously we do have millions of people that will, use FHA financing, which is 3.5% down, which is great, especially if, you really decide your first home is going to be a multi-unit building. I talked to this lady today, or it was during the weekend, and she was looking at this condo. And I was like, okay, you're looking at this condo. I was like, how's your credit? And she said, hey, I think my credit is kind of low. It's probably like a 594. And I said, okay, well, it looks to be the condo is FHA approved, but she's like, well, I want
Hmm.
to save my FHA for a multi-unit building. I don't want to use my FHA for a condo. I'd rather, use conventional. But you can't really mix and match and, so we've
That's
lost
not
the concept. We've got a lot
that's
of
not how that
blurred
works.
lines out there. Can
Yeah.
you want to explain what she said and how that could be a little off-putting to a loan
I,
officer?
I I mean, for me, right, someone who teaches the law, um, that's mortgage fraud. That's borderline mortgage fraud. So FHA, right? All right. So for everybody out there, FHA is only you can only use it on a primary residence. Now, the caveat to that is if you have a multi-unit, let's say a 2 to 4 unit, you can use an FHA loan, but you have to live in one of the units as your primary unit.
Correct.
Um, Also, you can have more than one FHA loan at a time. Let's say you buy a primary home and then in 3 years you want to go buy a 2 unit home. That and you haven't refinanced the first one, right? Okay, that's fine. That's okay. But the usage, right? So like the only loan out there, and Dante, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm not thinking of one, but the only loan out there where you can't use it, where you have to think about the amount of times you use it is VA.
Correct.
You can use FHA a bunch of times. You can use conventional a bunch of times. VA is the only one you really got to think about, and that is a particular set of people who qualify for that. So that's not the everyday civilian, right? So I'm glad that she told you that because I am one of the things I was going to bring up today is that lying by omission is still lying, right? And
Mm,
had a few loans fall out lately because of that, just omission, right? Um, because people think we're not going to find out. We're going to find out. Like when you try to think about ways to get around the system, 3 million people before you have thought about it and tried it. You're not going to come up with anything new to fraud the system or skip steps. Like there's so many checks and balances in place. Um, the lying by omission, that's just you're just wasting your time. You're wasting my time. You everybody involved. When you submit a mortgage application, there are at least 12 people, at minimum 12 people that touch that application. All of their time wasted. Just be honest, and we can tell you where your legal loopholes are, right? Or we can tell you, hey, that's a great plan, or not a great plan. Here's how we fix it. Um, so I'm glad she told you that. I'm glad she was forthcoming about it because I'm sure you guided her in the right direction after that.
There was no application taken, just so you know. None.
Oh,
No, we
but good
stopped.
job.
Yeah, we paused and we said no. So I mean, basically, to your point, right now, conventional has, at the end of last year, conventional has removed their minimum credit score. For
Hmm.
the longest period of time, I don't remember exactly when it started, but minimum credit score was a 620 on conventional. Anything under 620, you would, mandated to go FHA. Well, that's not necessarily the case anymore.
Right.
FHA has always been more of it's a lender overlays because there really is no credit score minimum if you look at FHA guidelines. But overall, generally, 500 to 579 is 10% down. 580 and up is 3.5% down. And so what ends up happening is now that, conventional has no minimum credit score, people are thinking like they can just freely go with conventional. Well, conventional's minimum down payments are still kind of roughly the same. There is no PMI coverage right now that we're seeing out there in the marketplace. So what does that mean, Dante? And I don't want to get too technical, but ultimately that means you're going to have to probably, if you're a 594, you're putting 20 to 30% down on a property. So even
Yeah.
if it's $90,000, that means 30% down, that's 27,000. Even if it's 20% down, that's $18,000. So that's a lot of money for a lot of folks out there. And so that's not 100% realistic of a play. You are going to want to put down 3.5% down, which is FHA, which, as your point, Jess, is yes, that's a primary residence. So those are the things where, yes, I think a lot of people, maybe metropolitan areas. So you're very familiar with Detroit, and I'm got Chicago. We have these situations where people are trying to manipulate the system, and we have to kind of say, no, stop, don't, because that's not going to work out too well. And we have to guide you the right way. So, one at a time. Of course, we always want to speed up the process, right? We want to kind of get where's the shortcut. I want to
Right.
have 10 properties all, and I only put down, 2%, that's not realistic.
Yeah,
I
I don't think
mean,
people jump out there to be deceitful, but it's like, hey, life is hard enough. Can I skip a few steps?
facts.
You
And
know?
so, I think we try to show empathy as best we can, but the reality is we there are guidelines that we have to follow. We can't be willy-nilly. Now, obviously, as a broker, one of the things that makes us strong and makes us, something unique is that we do have multiple options.
Hmm.
We have multiple channels, but still guidelines are guidelines. Yes,
Right.
are there some flexibility that we can do that maybe a bank or a banker can't do? Yes, 100%. Maybe we can go higher on our debt to income ratios, right? At times we can go all the way up to 56.99%. Some people are capped at 50%. Some people are capped at 53%. They
Hmm.
won't go over that threshold. So there are some opportunities where the guidelines present us to make us very unique, but at the end of the day, there's still just overall guidelines that we just can't skip.
I have a
Well,
question for you
yes,
about
ma'am.
strategy. 6 to 8%. What are your thoughts on if you're not it? So I am put down the minimum or put down 20. In between doesn't normally make sense.
Ooh, you want to talk about it?
So, okay, if you have the 20, cool, instant equity, right? If you need it back, you can pull some of it out, you know, a year later. But like I've had borrowers that are like, well, I want to put down 10%. Okay, cool. Why? And they, well, I wanted to lower my payment. Well, let me show you how much is going to lower your payment,
Love it.
right? It's like, a car wash membership, right? Like it's
Right.
like $30 a month. It's not going to do that much. But putting down the minimum down payment, right? If you're when you're moving into a new home, I tell everybody I work with, buying a new home, and I think I've said it on the show, but buying a new home is like getting into a new relationship. You don't know that house for real, at least for 2 years. So keeping some cash on the side, right? Not dumping all the your liquid assets into it is probably the more responsible choice because even if you have a great inspector, right? And everything has been looked over, you don't know if that roof is going to collapse or if the hot water tank is going to go out or if you're going to fall through a floorboard one day or maybe you need some work outside done and now all of your money is your liquid cash is wrapped up into this mortgage that didn't need to be. And considering that now, right, over the last decade, there are very few loans out there with prepayment penalties, right? So you're not going to find a loan with a prepayment penalty unless we're getting into the non-QM specialty products for investors. So if you're buying a primary residence, or even a investment property with a conventional loan, no prepayment penalties. So you get a year or two into this home and you're like, no, I want to dump that money into it. Go for it.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yep,
mean, all you're really saying to me is that you give your client options. And
I
and
do.
that's what you should do. As a loan officer, our job is to provide them options. I think it's based on what you see, right? I mean, so at the end of the day, you're evaluating three items: credit, income, and assets, right? So,
Hmm.
what is your credit is going to dictate what products and programs are available to you. I mean, at the end of the day, your income is going to determine for how much. How much are you eligible for? Hey, I make $80,000. What can I afford? Hey, I make $120,000. What can I afford? Hey, I make 180,000. What can I afford? We evaluate the income based upon, because so much has changed, right? We're in this gig economy. And so what's a gig economy? We have so many people that are self-employed, contractors, 1099 income. I got my CDL license. I'm a truck driver. We have all this variety of where people are, right? And so it's so important for us to make sure that we, from a loan officer perspective, we have to kind of determine exactly what type of income we're dealing with and, what's the best way for us to get you qualified. And then the last component is that A, right? A is assets. Hey, if we are buying a $350,000 house, how are we going to buy it? Because to
Right.
your point that you said earlier, is it's not just down payment. There's also a thing called closing costs, right? There is a thing about setting up your escrow account. Your taxes, insurance have to be included. Who's the title company? What are the title fees? What's the underwriting fee? Is there a processing fee? So there's so many things that, really kind of go into that pre-approval. And even though AI is phenomenal and it makes us more efficient, some things, it still needs that human touch. It still needs
Oh,
that human conversation, and I don't want to ever really lose that in this world. Like, it's so important to have the conversation. So many people are like, hey, what do I qualify for? No, we have to get on the phone together because there's some things I got to talk to you about.
right.
I got to talk to you. Yes, one out of six ways you can communicate with someone. I have to talk to you.
Yeah, that is definitely a phone conversation. I've done some mortgages via text message and I hate it. It is the worst. And so many things got lost in translation. And there were just so many bumps in the road that they didn't need to be. Like if you're dealing with an asset this large, pick up the phone. Like this is at least once a week. You gotta talk, right? That initial conversation is the most important. The right getting right up to closing also extremely important, but in the middle you're going to need to talk a little too, but strictly via email or text message, the worst.
So it was funny. Speaking of text messages, yesterday I received a text message. Now it was kind of in the morning, right? 7:30 a.m. I'm probably in the bathroom, and I see the text, and it's for a client that's closing today,
Okay.
right? And so my initial was like, and she was asking about, hey, I just want to know about down payment assistance and what do you think? I just want to make sure that I'm getting the best deal, blah, blah, blah. And I look at it and I'm like, we're closing tomorrow. Like we've already gone over these numbers. Like what are you talking about, right? So I was a little snippy. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little
Mhm.
like short and like, hey, we've already discussed this. We've already went over this. This is the
Well,
route
yeah, if
we
you're at the end of the
we
process.
are at the end of the process. So I'm like, hey, we've already done this. Like we've done this rodeo. We don't need to go back on the horse. And so I was like, where's this coming from? And she kept going. She's like, well, I talked to my dad. I'm like, well, that's great. You talked to him. Do I need to speak to him? Like, what is going on? So lo and behold, as the day goes on, I kind of decide, you know what, let me look at that text again. And I recognize that it wasn't the client that's closing right now. It was her daughter that, she referred me to her
Mm.
daughter to help her buy. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because she was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And I was like, like, why are we not computing? If you don't understand what I mean at 7:30 morning, maybe you shouldn't be texting at 7:30. And then I'm like,
That's why I
oh
don't
my
text back before 8:30 because
man,
my brain needs to cut on. Like,
man.
even if I've been up since 5, I'm not ready to work yet until, like, text message, at least 8:30.
Man, I was like, we Gucci here. What is going on? And then I was like, oh my God, I was talking to her daughter. Yeah,
Mm,
we
mm,
haven't even
mm.
talked on the phone. We only did the baby talk. Now we got to do the real grown-up talk. I was like, so I called her up. I said, I'm so sorry. I thought I was talking to your mom. She's like, you were saying that you already talked to me about this stuff. And I was like, you did? I didn't remember. I was like, my bad. My bad.
Whoops.
My bad. No, so that's why it's so important to have these conversations over the phone because you want to make sure you're talking to the right person, and B, you just want to make sure you go over it so everyone understands, everyone has a clear path of like, hey, these are the directions that we're going, these are the reasons why we're going.
Right.
It's not, so we just want everything to have clarity. So many people have questions, because there's so much scamming that's going on. It's just so rampant. So, people just want to feel comfortable that, hey, we're moving in this direction because of this. And if we're able to show them that way and show them, then we're good. But I did want to talk about down payment assistance because that kind of irks me. I know Detroit has a program going on up there. We have a program in the state of Illinois that goes on, but you're not a fan. I'm going to kind of bust you out. You're not always a fan, not always a fan of down payment assistance. And I wanted you on your soapbox a little bit because I wanted to talk about that as well.
You're right. I am not always a fan of down payment assistance. And because, all right, so
Wait, can I
mm,
can I stop you and let me rephrase a question. Let me give you the question that I hear a lot. Okay.
okay.
Jess, I'm a first time home buyer. Don't I get something? I'm a first time home buyer. That means I automatically get something.
It does not mean you automatically get something.
Oh, because that's the
Um,
gimmick that is being portrayed out there.
oh, I know, and like that is it's a real thing. You're
It's a
absolutely right.
thing.
People are like, "Well, isn't this my right?" No, it's not. Now we can look into it absolutely, right? But there are so many things that go into different down payment assistance programs. Like you might make too much money. You and let's say you don't even make a whole lot of money, but you make at least 80% of your area median income. You may not qualify for certain things. You may be a single person, and because you don't live in poverty, you do not qualify, right? We had a DPA program here in Detroit where if you made more than $42,000, it was really like 41.6, then no, you didn't qualify for anything, right?
Facts.
That's crazy. But no, you're right. I am not always a fan of down payment assistance because not all that glitters is gold, man.
Man.
Um, so let's take the last year, for example. So for the last year, with the exception of like, let's cut it off at September, right? Let's say January through October of last year. We were in the high 7%, right? We were in the let's say 6.5 to 7.875. Those were the rates that people were getting when they were purchasing. So as we all know, those are a lot higher rates than what we have been accustomed to over the last 20 years. The most of the down payment assistance programs out there, not grants. Grants are different. Down payment, but most of the down payment assistance programs out there require you to stay in your original loan at minimum for at least 5 years. Some of them are 10 years. Some of them, we had a lender on the other day we were talking to, and he was like, "Oh, it's 30 years." Who's staying in that mortgage for 30 years?
Man, I couldn't believe he said it. So,
I I
man,
my brain broke. Why would you even tell us that? Like,
man,
one of my besties, shout out to PC Storian, uh my buddy's in like a 2.4% interest rate. Okay, keep that mortgage for 30 years. You go right ahead. We're never changing it. If you need some money, I'll get you a HELOC, right? But you don't keep a 7.5% for even 5 years, right? So the idea, guys, is you get this down payment assistance, and the deal is you have to stay in it. Let's say we'll just talk about the minimum of 5 years, because everything past that is beyond ridiculous. So even if rates drop, right? Let's say you go in at 7.5 and rates drop to, I don't know, 5%, right? Let's be real dramatic. You can't refinance into a 5% because you have to pay back the down payment assistance that you got. So you can't refinance, you can't sell the home without having to pay it back, and you can't turn it into an investment property without having to pay it back. It has to be a primary. So you are trapped for 5 years in this 7.5. And while that is happening, right, while you're in this high payment, it's just rising steadily year over year, because every year the cost of living goes up, which means taxes go up, which means insurance goes up. So, my issue is putting people, if you need $25,000, and I'm using that as an example because that's one of the popular programs in Michigan. If you need $25,000 in down payment assistance to buy a home, you most likely cannot afford a home. It is a
mm,
trap.
mm.
It's a trap. So there were the amount of people in foreclosure court in Detroit in Wayne County at the end of last year was so disgusting. Like there were standing room only. I'm talking like 300 people at a time foreclosing on their homes because their taxes went up a little bit, as they do year over year, and they bought a home with down payment assistance that they could not afford anyway
Mm.
because someone sold them a dream.
Yeah, it is something you have to be not only emotionally ready, you have to be financially ready. A lot of people are in situations emotionally that they have to buy, and they
Hmm.
may not be financially ready. And that's something that at the end of the day, I always say you are your best financial advisor. I can't, I can only give you the numbers, but you have to really know that internally and make the right decision for yourself. And what Jess is speaking on is, this money is not free. These down payment assistance, first time home buyer, whatever, the loan officer says to you that it is. I mean, it's a second mortgage, and that
Most
second,
of the time,
most of the time,
99% of the time.
man, I mean, the one we do have a caveat, right? We have
Right.
internally a lender that it really is a grant. You don't have to pay it back. And that's why, when people say, "Hey, do you offer down payment assistance?" We do. And it's something I believe in and I offer. But, I try to stay away from those second mortgages because, to your
Hmm.
point, a couple years ago when we didn't have that option, I got a guy right now, and the payments have gone up because real estate taxes have gone up, and he would love to do a refinance right now. But in his area, the values actually went down, not up.
Yeah.
So he really would have to bring money to the table. So I'm like, hey, bruh, you have to bring $7,000 to pay off that second mortgage. That free money that you got to bring
Hmm.
that because I don't have enough equity in your area to cover, and pay this second mortgage. So now you're stuck. You have to wait until the 5 years is up.
And so the grant that we have, right? I just want to be clear for, we're licensed in multiple states. Give us a call.
We are.
The
Yeah.
grant that Dante and I have is a true grant. No, it does not have to be paid back. And do you have to stay in that particular mortgage for a certain amount of time? Yes, you do. But it
6
is
months.
7 months. Yeah. Well,
7
7 months.
months.
7
7
months.
months.
Chill on our EPO. Okay.
Okay. 210 days.
It is
210 days.
210 days,
Yes.
7 months. You stay there, and then boom. If your, let's say, your credit score goes up and there's enough value in the house, right? Because values are rising pretty steadily, and depending on the area, sure, let's refinance you. I usually tell people, like, let's give it a year and a half, right?
Sure.
Realistically, but hey, as long as we hit that 7 month mark, yep, we can refinance you. I have a client that I've been working with for years, and her mom passed away. And so mom left her the house, sorta, whatever. She owns the house now. We worked it out. Um, and she wants to sell the house. So, right, we're having these conversations with the servicer, and they're like, okay, so yeah, you're good to go. Here's how much you owe us. And she's like, well, what do you mean? Well, your mom did a down payment assistance program. It doesn't matter that she's dead, you're gonna need to pay this back. Like, it's debt, that debt
Wow.
there. One thing in this country that never dies is debt. Except for you lucky ducks that got those student loans forgiven. Good for y'all. I mean that.
Man. I paid mine off. I'm sorry. Or I didn't. Yeah, I paid mine off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 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 I feel bad. You youngins out there. Yeah, student
Now,
loans are
when
rough.
if I call you old one day, it's gonna be a problem. You do this to yourself. You step right in it.
Whatever.
Um,
Whatever. Yeah, back to down payment assistance. But yeah, I love what you said. And the key thing I think that I want to let people know, because I have to stand on that little podium, is that you can't, there is no expectation. Just because you're a first time home buyer, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, because I know the friends and the family, maybe a friend or your aunt or your uncle, they went to the bank, they closed on it, and they got, oh, we got first time home buyer credits, and these are terms and kind of marketing gimmicks and nonsense that people say, just in our
right.
space. I hear them, and it makes me, and I'm almost like, don't say that.
Oh, I just thought of one. You do have a right to one benefit. If you are a first time home buyer and you get a conventional loan, you have the right to a 3% down payment.
There you go.
If you are not a first time home buyer, it's 5%.
There you
So
go.
a
Now
little
there you
2%
go.
cut. Also, real quick, by the way, peeps, I'm gonna say a lot of stuff later that's gonna need, you're gonna need to take notes on. So either take notes or be aware of the timestamp so you can go back and watch this later. But first time home buyer is defined as someone who has not been on a mortgage or the title slash deed of a home in the last 3 years. So if
Mm.
you owned a home 4 years ago and you haven't been on a mortgage or title for 4 years, you are a first time home buyer again. So whatever benefits are out there for a first time home buyer to go seek, you may qualify for.
And that's the one benefit from a conventional standpoint, but there is no incentive necessarily on a FHA.
No, everybody's 3.5 on an FHA, with the right credit score. And I'm glad that you brought up that most of these down payment assistance programs are second mortgages. So if you guys are out there shopping, ask. Yes, you can ask your realtor. Realtors, a really good realtor worth their salt. They have a good grasp on the programs that they are, introducing to you or leading you into, if you didn't seek it out yourself, if they brought it to you. But your loan officer is the person you really want to talk to. Hey, is this a second mortgage? Ask that flat out. Is this down payment assistance a second mortgage, or is it a grant? If they say yes, it's a second mortgage. Okay, what is the interest rate on it? And is there a payment? Because some of them don't have an interest rate. Some of them have an interest rate but don't have a payment. Most of them nowadays have an interest rate that's like, what, 2% higher than the first,
Yeah.
right? Um, some of them don't have a payment for like 10 years. Some of them you have to pay right away. Those are the questions you want to ask.
And that's a big difference too. I mean, if you think
Huge.
about it, if me and Jess are on opposite sides, if I have, hey, guess what? I got a a down payment assistance program for you, and I'm going to give you 6.5%, but you got this second mortgage here that's tied to you for 5 years, or maybe Jess has seven and a quarter, but she has no second mortgage. You might want to take the 7.25 over the 6.5. So it has to be, and now I'm going to plug my book, The Ultimate Mortgage Guide. That's where I said, how to secure the best mortgage, not just the best rate, because sometimes the rate is misleading. What comes with that rate versus, hey, I took this rate, but I get this flexibility. So
Right.
options and flexibility to me are so important when you choose a mortgage, more than just what the interest rate is. You like that?
Date the rate, marry the house.
The Ultimate Mortgage Guide, available
Did you
on
drop it?
Amazon.
Did you drop that link?
I
Because
was gonna drop it.
I was gonna drop it if you
Drop
didn't.
it.
I feel
Drop
like you never do.
No.
Be proud of yourself. It's a
Yeah,
good book.
it is a good book. I put the secret sauce in there. I even break down, what it is that you have to bring to the table. One of the things that's interesting, just being in multiple states, obviously Michigan versus Illinois is, Michigan's taxes, even though you're climbing on up, are still lower than our real estate taxes. And so real estate taxes work differently in Michigan than in Illinois. In
Hmm.
Illinois, our taxes are paid in arrears. So what that means is in 2026, we're going to be paying taxes that happen in 2025. Where Michigan is forward looking, they're actually paying the taxes in that specific year. So
Right.
what we actually receive is what is called tax prorations. We actually receive like a tax refund. So it says, hey, Dante, you're buying a house in 26. Well, you didn't live there in 25. So we're going to give you, generally speaking, 6 months of credit from those taxes because you didn't live there last year. And so that actually is a reduction to what we have to bring to the table. So actually, when you compare buying a house in Michigan versus buying a house in Illinois, what's fascinating is you have a lower payment in Michigan, but you have to bring more money to closing. Where we have higher payments in Illinois, but we bring less money to closing when you buy in Illinois because those tax prorations that basically that credit offsets a lot of the closing costs at times. So I have a client today closing, and the way it's structured, she didn't need down payment assistance, and the cash at close was literally $2,700. And so it's like, wow, I'm buying a $265,000 house with only 2,700. That's phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
but that's because mix in seller credits, mix in tax prorations, earnest money,
You
voila.
know what? I'm glad you said seller credits because I get a lot of flack from my borrowers, right? Like, well, why do I have to bring so much money to closing? Man, I don't know. Tell your realtor to negotiate. Like, I
They're
don't.
scared. They're
I
scared to negotiate.
There are they you know what? They are, and I understand why there are a lot of realtors who are afraid to negotiate. But at the same time, like they need to fight for that. They don't want to lose their commission. I get that, but like they gotta fight for it, you know? Um,
Well,
and
especially with
fight
the
for the best
NAR.
deal.
Well, you think about the NAR, right? When they changed the whole commission structure in 2024.
Let's be clear. They did not change it. They reinforced what was supposed to be happening in the first
This is
place.
true.
Let's
This is true. This is true. The reinforcement that they did, the acknowledgement that, hey, I have to be, clarity is key, and I have to be clear on how this can be administered. It left the buying agent naked. And now that the
Mhm.
buying agent is naked to a certain degree, and now you're putting the expense on me. I have a guy right now looking into buying a $575,000 house, and the buying agent is talking about, well, my fee is 3%. And then, he's saying to me, like, Dante, she wants like $17,000 from me. I found the house.
Oh, yeah,
What what did what did she do for me? And
I
I'm
saw a
like, hey, man,
contract with 5% the other day. I was like, "That's crazy."
my name's Bennett and I'm not in it, but but people are going to want to see value, right? And
Right.
value is going to, have to be shown because, you're naked right now as a buying agent if you're not able to say, well, hey, I found you the house. I did all these, we toured all these homes. I took you're going to have to give me that itemized list almost of what did you do for this type of number.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But yes, the ultimate
Um,
mortgage guide.
I'm guessing we're about to do some house
Yes,
cleaning,
Jess
but
Ford.
afterwards, I want to make sure that we talk about some action steps.
Yes. Well, first let everybody know where you at and who you
Me?
are.
What? Okay. What's up, peeps? What's up, regulars? I am Jess Ford. I am a senior mortgage expert with Epic Mortgage, and I am going to drop the link to all things Jess Ford in all of the chats that I have open. What's up, Instagram? Thank you for being here and participating. Dante, quite a few people on Instagram say hello. We're gonna make sure we get you on here next week. I'm tired of being alone. But you all can find me on Instagram at jford_consulting, Facebook Jess Ford Consulting, LinkedIn Jess Ford, Google Jess Ford and mortgages. I'll come up, guys.
It was funny. I was trying to look you up. I was trying to send you something last night, and I was like, I was trying to spell out the Jess, and I was like, oh no 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 no. And then I was like, is it J Ford? No 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 no. And then I like had it like, and I was like, oh yes yes, Jess Ford, Jess Ford. It's
It
very
took you
simple.
all of that to get back to my name,
Man, you know how many
bro.
J's I got? So I was like, man. So then I was like, is it J-E? I was like, no no no. And I was
You,
like, it's
how else would you spell it?
I found you. I
All
found you.
right.
At the end of the day, I found you. Okay. But yeah, no, hey, it's more than a notion. Yes, this episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic today, 708-905-5300, 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, once the show is over, if you're on Instagram, IG, hello. And if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight. And our most recent episode is with Talmar Anderson. Are you stuck doing payroll, HR, marketing, client work, and strategy and calling it being a CEO? In the conversation I had with Talmar, she's a founder of Boss HQ and the Time Machine Agency. She's also the host of the Rock Your Bossitude podcast to break down the real difference between a busy entrepreneur and a true CEO. Had a great time talking to her. She's a business coach, and she really, expressed a lot of things to me and got me to see just really, you have to business owners, as you guys are out there, know you wear a lot of hats and you really have to kind of distribute those. Delegate is the key word, those responsibilities, because it can be daunting, and you really have to kind of sit back and say, what is the real reason why I got into business? Was it to be so busy that I can't enjoy any part of life, a newborn slavery? What is the real reason why you got into business? And you have to find the way to get yourself to those real reasons. So really having some great insight with Talmar. It was worth a listen. Definitely recommend that you check it out. Now, obviously, too, we do have some preferred listings. We have some new ones available. So make sure you go to the website, www.danteroyster.com. I know that name. So you go to danteroyster.com. We have all our preferred listings. We have all our podcasts on there. So if you want to catch an old episode or at least get more information, a bio of that specific person, you can check them out there. I believe Jess Ford, you're on there as well. So yes. So danteroyster.com is the website to go. Now, did you want to answer questions, or did you want to do this tutorial right now?
Let's answer some questions. Because right, I can always give action items at any time later, but we never know when these questions are gonna come back up. So let's make sure we answer these because this is why the people come.
And then we could do part 2.
Oh, I love when we do a part 2. We should, because I got a ton of notes because we ain't follow your format at all today.
You went off on
You
the tangent, and then I kind of followed you, and then I was
I did
just like,
not. I did not. Don't blame this on me. Okay. I let you lead. See what happens when I let other people
see,
lead.
see. So we can do a part two. It'll be in
Huzzah.
2 weeks from now. So it'll be a little bit of drum roll because we
Wait,
already have
why is
something.
it 2 weeks? Oh, we have a
Mm.
guest next
We have a
week.
guest next week, and so
That's
that will
right.
be interesting, talking
Okay.
about investing. But we can come back and talk about the first time home buyers because the spring season is coming and it is important.
It is purchase season. I have make sure you guys come back for part two. I have a ton of good information to give you and questions to ask and things to look out for. So this gives you a heads up to bring a notepad or at least be ready to take screenshots of timestamps.
Awesome. Let's get at these questions. Jess, what's the biggest mistake first time buyers make during pre approval?
The biggest mistake they make is okay, there are two big mistakes. One, pretty simple, assuming that they know how the process is going to go because they Googled it. It's just not right. You still have to ask questions. But I think the second biggest mistake is wasting their time. So what will happen is borrowers think, right, we want you to shop, right? Go out and shop like you shop for anything else. Shop for the best pricing. But when you're just looking to get pre-approved, you don't need to call six different lenders or six different brokers. Because the numbers that they quote you are going to be entirely different by the time you actually find a house. They'll be entirely different in the next day, depending on what's going on in our country. So I think it's the collecting 7, 8 pre-approvals that is a huge mistake, especially for those people that don't do it all within, like, let's say 3 days, right? If you're not doing this within 72 hours, you're risking multiple credit pulls, right? So normally there's a rule, and I'm saying I'm using that term loosely because it's not a law and not everyone follows it. But you'll hear that, oh, you can have your credit pulled an unlimited amount of time in 30 days when you're shopping for a mortgage. And that is partially true. We have to remember that Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are three totally separate for profit corporations, and they don't have to follow that rule. And not all three of them do. So if you are going to shop, do it within the same week, right?
Hmm.
3 days, I would say, if you're trying to compare apples to apples. If you don't care about that and you want to compare apples to bananas, sure, go into week two. But I don't advise it.
I like the first mistake that you said, and I'll piggyback that. Obviously, your friends, your family, when they bought their house, their scenario, their situation is different. So comparing yourself to others is probably the worst mistake that I see people making. Well, my aunt didn't have this. I mean, we don't know what your aunt's credit score was. We don't know when she bought. Did she buy in 2008, 2017, 1995? It
Right.
makes a difference.
It makes
Different
a
markets,
huge
huge difference,
difference.
different guidelines, different everything. So things that happen, there used to be a time and day in like 2004, 2005, where a married couple could be qualified for a mortgage, and the husband was a 400 credit score, but we could use his income, and the wife could just qualify on her own. There was a day and time where that was allowed. That's no longer the day.
That is not a thing. I have some borrowers right now where the son is listening to his dad who hasn't bought a house since I was 6, right? So the rules are just completely different.
So about 10 years ago, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it was.
See how I did that? I got you.
Yeah, be kind.
I was being nice.
You
I
were.
was being
Good job.
nice. So yeah, I mean that's a huge thing. I think one of my younger first time home buyer was talking to their dad, and he's like, "I think there's a program out there where you could get $100,000. Does he got that program?" Whoa,
Sir, you find that program.
man!
I
I
would love
told
to see it.
man, I told her I quit my job today and go.
Right?
I'm gone. Here we go. How accurate is the pre-approval amount compared to what you should actually spend? Ooh,
Ooh. Okay, so
good
no,
question.
that is a great question. It's a question that people kind of forget to ask, so thank you. Um, All right. So what we have to remember is when you get pre-approved, guys, it's a trap. When you get pre-approved, we are pre-approving you before taxes. Okay? We're
Mm.
pre-approving you before taxes. Trap number one. Um,
Be specific about taxes, because
okay, you're right. You are absolutely right. Before taxes when it comes to your income.
income taxes.
So if you are your offer letter, your salary says you make $100,000 a year, that's what we're going to qualify you on, not the money that you actually get once taxes and everything else is taken out.
Gross
Um,
income.
right, your gross income, right? So also, when we look at your another one of your qualifying factors is your debt to income ratio, right? Meaning, what does your debt look like versus what you actually bring in income? Well, we are only looking at debt on your credit report. I don't know about you guys, but I got a whole lot of bills that I pay that do not show up on my credit report. So that debt is not
Mm.
being taken into consideration. So how accurate is the pre-approval? It's accurate in the sense that yes, you can qualify for this, but you yourself, you know what you can handle monthly. Um and well, at least you should. I have quite a few whatever. I do a financial review with everybody. I'm looking at your credit report, I'm looking at your assets. I might as well give you my opinion on it, right? Um, and so this is a conversation that I have with every borrower. Hey, I know that I'm telling you that you qualify for this and you do, but here's what I think you can actually afford to not end up house poor or in poverty altogether.
I love it. Generally speaking, you're going to be eligible for 3 to 5 times how much money you make.
Yep.
If
So,
you do the math, it will vary on how much debt you are carrying, a car payment, student loans, credit cards. But generally speaking, if you make $100,000, you'll be right around 3 to 400 or 3 to half a million. Just depending on real estate taxes, homeowners insurance, and then the debt that you're carrying. So I mean that's a quick way to kind of know. But I really like the question. But the key thing is what you should actually spend. That once again, you're your best financial advisor. You have to tell me what you are
well,
willing to spend monthly. Is it 1,800 a month? Is it $3,000 a month? What's the number that's going to make you feel comfortable monthly?
right. Because some people they just know, like, okay, yeah, I qualify for a $500,000 house, but I don't want that monthly payment. So I'm
Exactly.
gonna look at a $250,000 house, three hundred
Exactly.
thousand.
I had a lady, she worked for a Planned Parenthood,
Mm-hmm.
and she was an upper, echelon lady at the time, and, she was making, a buck 50 to $200,000, and I was like, "Okay, we gonna get the half a milli? What we doing?"
She said,
And she
"No,
ended up
thank you."
buying 100. Yeah, she's like
Yeah,
180,000. I was like, really?"
because she trying to
And
retire one day.
Man, facts. And I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, okay." Hey, I'd rather have this money and travel. She was big into concerts and going
Right,
places. She wasn't really into I don't want to be all up in my house. I'm on the move. So
right.
I respect the game on that. But, so that's all I'm saying. As far as Will's question, you have to determine what's going to make you feel comfortable on a monthly basis. And let's work towards that number and not necessarily what your pre-approval amount says. Just explaining credit scores was fire. Why don't more people talk about this?
Man, I don't know why more people don't talk about it. But I do have for part two, I got a lot to say about credit and how it impacts your pre-approval and your pricing, and just essentially your home buying experience altogether. So definitely make sure you guys swing back in 2 weeks for part two. And then who has that? Anita, if you have some random questions about credit or maybe you want some more jewels, reach out to me. You can text me, you can call me, hit me up on socials, email me, whatever.
Awesome sauce. We always like shout outs like that. Does checking for pre-approval hurt your credit score?
Yes, it does because it is a hard credit pull. Now, how
Ooh,
much
let's
does it
talk
hurt
about
your
that.
score? Like probably like remember, this is a made up system and the algorithm changes every 3 years. So I would say between 12 and 15 points, depending on the last time you had your credit pulled. Credit pulls tend to hit a little harder when you have them back to back. Now, remember, if you're shopping between 3, 4 lenders within a couple days, they're only going to hit you. You'll see 3 credit pulls, but it's only going to hurt you one time. Um, Now, Bradley, there are lenders, right, and brokers that can do a soft pull on your credit. Um, but it's something that
Mm,
I personally don't like to do. I feel like Dante, you don't do it too much because we can only get so much information based on that. Usually a soft pull is like 1 or 2 bureaus. And that third report could have something totally crazy on it because again, 3 separate for-profit corporations are reporting this information. And also we can't run it through the underwriting system with a soft credit pull. We have to have a hard pull. Just Ford. What's the underwriting system? Okay, so the underwriting system is going to tell us like, yes, this person is good to go, or no, they're not. An experienced loan officer is going to be able to look at those no's and figure out, okay, here's what we need to move around to make this work. Um, ooh, my next thought just fell out of my head. What was it? Soft
did you
pulls,
just break
hard
the fourth
pulls.
wall? That's all I was thinking about. You were saying. I was like, did she just break the fourth
I
wall
think
right there?
I think I did unintentionally.
Ooh.
Oh, that was the other thing. Got it. Boom. Pre-approvals versus pre-qualifications. Let me just be very clear about this. I don't want this to wait 2 weeks. A pre-approval means that your loan officer has collected a full application, asked you most likely for 2 pay stubs, a W-2, and probably a bank statement, and has run everything through the automated underwriting system and gotten a thumbs up. A pre-qualification means that a loan officer asked you some questions, has their fingers crossed that you know what you're talking about and are not lying, and then they're like, "Yeah, sure. Here's your
Toes
prequal."
crossed.
Yeah, based on what you told me. Yeah, here you go. Go buy a house. Don't go look at houses with that. It's
And they
not
do
real
that all the
information.
time. And let's talk
No.
about, and we can pull back the curtain a little bit. Let's talk about costs. Let's talk about costs and let's talk about hard and soft real quick because I like the route you were going. Soft pulls are pictures of today and only today.
Mm-hmm.
So me doing a soft pull on Brad today only shows me the score that he has today. It doesn't
Right.
show me the score he has tomorrow. It's not locked in. When I do a hard pull, I'm locking it in. That's the credit report I can use for the next 120 days.
Right.
Okay. So that's important. So it's like, hey, I did this soft pull. And why did I do it? Because it's cheaper. Let's talk about costs. Hey, $70 for a soft pull, $130 for a hard pull. So yeah, I pulled the soft pull because it's cheaper for me. But now you were 680. But I didn't realize that bill was going to update. And now all of a sudden you went from 680 to 639. And I
Right.
misquoted you because I didn't lock in that 680. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. And then even if I do the soft pull, and let's just business owners out there, does it make sense for me to pay $70 for a soft pull? Now you found another property. Okay, great. Now we're under contract. I got to repull you now at the 130. Now I've spent $200 when I could have spent $130 one time.
And what Dante's talking about, guys, because I have people asking, just can you just pull my credit, see what I qualify for? Or, well, do
No.
you really want to buy a house? Well, I'm not sure. Then no, because that cost me $130. And if you don't buy this house, I can't bill you for it. So when your loan officer is pulling credit, we are paying for it. Um, and unless you sign an intent to proceed and close on the home, I y- I can't forward those costs to you. I just have to eat it. Um, and you get a lot of that with, especially with our shop, like the big lenders, right? Um, they essentially their salespeople, if you're not pulling 10 credit reports a day, you're fired, right? They pull credit for all willy-nilly for no reason, but like they don't have to worry about that. But if you're going to a reputable LO, um, we don't want to pull your credit just for the heck of it because one, it harms you. Two, it costs us, right? And three, it's unnecessary unless you actually have a direction you want to go in. Also, you should never standard. You shouldn't really have more than 4 credit pulls on your credit report a year. So that's one a quarter. Like, is it going to kill you if you have like 6? No, but aim for one a quarter. Also, if you're car shopping, be very specific. You can pull my credit report 3 times. After that, you're done. Because they will pull it 12, 15 times.
Till
And
they're fine.
and yeah, until they find a lender. Like, you tell them they got to be good the first time.
Facts. What credit score is considered good for the best interest rates?
The best, the best of the best interest rates. Um,
We had a loan officer that was big into hyperboles, and I was like, dude, stay away from these hyperboles.
um, so 760. Like 740 is great, 760, right? I have people that call and I'm like, "Hey, how's your credit?" It's a 810. And then they want to tell me how they got to the 810. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. Anything over 760 is all the same. Nothing changes. But I do like when people have 800s because then I know they're confident, like, okay, it's over 760 for sure, right?
They got
Um,
swag.
right?
Seven 780, 800. I'm an
Yeah,
850.
doesn't matter,
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
Doesn't. Anything
Great.
over 760 is all the same.
And you know what I say? Honestly, I say, oh, that's great. You pay your bills on time.
Right. Like,
Because that's all that really matters. That just tells me you
right,
pay
you
your bills
pay
on
your
time
bills on time. Yep,
and
you're
you don't have a credit blemish. You've never been late on a payment. Kudos to you.
pretty fiscally responsible. Your utilization is good. Awesome.
Yep. I
That's
hear
great.
you. Should buyers pay off debt before applying for a mortgage?
Ooh, Victoria, that's a great question.
That is a good question.
Um, I know you guys got to be sick of us saying this, but it depends, right? So if it's like a collection or a charge off, yeah, go ahead and get that taken care of. Don't pay the whole thing. Negotiate 30%. Doesn't matter if it says settled on your credit report, as long as that trade line is at 0, that's all that matters. But if it's like a collection or a charge off, yeah, go ahead and get that taken care of because it's not going to do anything but bring down your debt to income ratio and push up your credit score. Um, but like, let's say you got Amex is not a good example. Um, let's say that you have a credit card, right? Let's say you got a Capital One card and you're carrying a balance on it. Unless it is impacting your approval, meaning your debt to income ratio, or it's holding down your credit score to the point where it's being detrimental to your pricing, it's okay. Um, a good loan officer is going to look at your credit report and go, hey, I think it would be best if you pay off A, B, and C, and then let me do a rapid rescore, which brings down your debt, pushes up your credit score. But there are others, right? Like, I've got a couple clients right now where I'm like, yeah, you don't really need to pay anything off. It's fine. Like, you're about to put all, no, I don't want you to go spend what you've saved for a down payment and closing costs into paying off this debt that really won't make a huge impact.
Love it. How competitive is this purchase season looking right now?
Ooh, okay. So that was something that I kind of had in my notes to talk about as well because it's different right now, right? So we are in a time of technology, right? So everything is being done through technology, which means everything is moving a little faster. And we know when we are in any kind of rat race, um, things moving faster make a difference. Technology makes a difference. Um, we are also in this weird era of a borrower wanting to go to see a house, and the realtor is like, yeah, go ahead, I'll just give you the lockbox code. I
Mm,
can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Like, the realtors aren't even going to the house anymore with them. They're like, here, just go in.
yes. No,
Blows my mind. But
yeah.
because of technology, things are pretty competitive right now. So you got to be quick. That's the thing. And I know that's hard to grasp. It kind of sucks because it's such a big decision. right? Buying a house is such a big decision. The price, the things that need to be fixed, blah, 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 all the things that go into it. It's a huge decision, but like it's one of those decisions that you got to be quick on the draw on.
Mhm.
Especially now that we are into purchase season itself. Um, you are had you been looking to buy a house over the last 3 months, you would have had an easier time than you are coming up in summer months,
Sure.
depending on where you live. Like season, literal season. Nobody really wants to go shop for a house when it's 13 degrees outside.
Well, the spring season is supposed to, they consider the spring season starts after the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is supposed to be the kickoff for real
Mm.
estate in the spring season, which is kind of weird to me. But as we thaw out in the Midwest, it's definitely go time to put houses on the market. Right. It's a beautiful day today. So, 60 degrees here, which is weird in February.
It's 48 here. Oh, but we're gonna get up to 56. Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to be taking more walks, right? And you're walking your dog or whatever. You may say, "Oh, look at this house! It's on the market. Let me take a look at it." Curious neighbor and all that
Right.
good stuff. So yeah, it tis the season now that it's the gloomy weather is subsiding, and now it's a time where people can be out and about. More homes are being listed, more competition, and that's good for buyers.
Also, there's something that I think we forget to think about, especially if you don't have children or you're not active in like nieces and nephews' lives. The school year cycle is something you really have to think about because families often want to buy or be under contract by May or June so that they can move during the summer and then have their kids settled and ready to start school by August or September. So you've got these families out there competing. That's a big thing. And then also, tax refunds. Like, let's not pretend that's not a thing. A lot of first time home buyers, normally first time home buyers, but a lot of buyers want to use their tax refund to help cover closing costs or a portion of their down payment.
Sure.
And most of the time, they're not trying to save it for another 8 months. So that's something to consider as well.
And to my knowledge, I spoke to an accountant this morning. I don't think they've released taxes yet or tax refunds yet. Have you heard anything on that?
Man, I don't know. I send it to my tax lady and whatever. I get it when I get it.
I got you. Well,
I
I,
haven't cared since college because I'm tired of writing checks. So
I
I haven't gotten a refund check since my student loans were actively like since I was in college. I don't care.
it's been a minute. It's been a minute for sure. All right, last question here. Let's take a look here. How important is having a real estate agent early in the process?
Okay, it depends on what you consider early in the process, but by pre-approval. Once you're pre-approved, you want to have an agent. Um do research on your agent, look at reviews, right? Just as I would say, look at reviews on us. Um All right, so I went through 4 real estate agents when I bought my first house. But again, I look
Mm,
at it like dating, and I still ended up doing that transaction by myself, but that's a whole other thing. But like you want to see who you mesh with, right? So I'm very particular about the agents that I work with. So let's say I'm going to use an arbitrary number. Let's say I have 5 of them that I like to spread business between evenly. Um, I'm looking at to match you by personality, essentially. So you don't have to work with just anybody. It is important. And as Dante and I were saying earlier, the negotiation skills of a realtor are the most important because realistically, right? Agents are really anybody can put a key in the door and find a house, right? With technology, you can use Zillow, you can use Truly, you could find the house. You could get the lockbox code and show yourself the house. Where your realtor comes in to be extremely important is in the negotiations of your purchase contract and the amendments that then come after when you find something wrong with the house or you want seller concessions. Like that is the most important part about a real estate agent. How are their negotiation skills and are they scared to fight?
love it. Love it. All right, just for we did it.
We did it. Huzzah.
Look at that.
Yee.
Perfect. No, I appreciate you today. This was awesome, man. I mean, first time home buyers is a great topic. It's a great time to get ready to go, get pre-approved so you know what you're qualified for. Credit reports are good for 120 days. That's why the pre-approval is good for 90. That way you can find your house and give us at least 30 days to close it out. So, the credit doesn't expire. The lady closing right now, shout out to the Jackson family. Appreciate you. Congratulations on your first home. It was kind of, it's always nerve wracking. Got an email 2 days ago and said, the credit report is expired. We need a new report, and that's, where did she go?
I
That's
hate
could be a
that.
bad man. That's scary stuff.
I hate it so much. That's one of
Mhm.
the scariest things in the process is credit expiring.
Credit expiring. It was 122. So I mean, it's a make it or break it, right? She
Hmm.
was a 660 at the time, and it's like, oh man, did she go downward? And now we got to revamp stuff. Luckily, she went up, and she was in the 700s. So it just worked out even better, better
Nice.
credit, and everything worked out. So, but yeah, no, this is a good topic. Let's do a part two. I know there was a bunch of stuff that I had, and you kind of got me going on different tangents. So we
I
can
have no idea how this is my fault, but okay.
we can definitely have a part two, get on the same page, and we'll make it happen.
Awesome. Because you did a great outline, right? You did a great
Thank
outline.
you.
So yeah.
It just, I don't know, you got me going. So I don't know. I was talking about seller credits and stuff, and yeah, we can. So I'm gonna like actually keep this outline because it is
Yeah.
good,
Keep
and
it.
touch on the things that we didn't touch on next time.
Yep. So 2 weeks from now, definitely stop by Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, right? A week from now to check out our guest. But if you are looking for part two of this, what day is it? It's the 18th. Put it on your calendar for March.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be March. Man, Black History Month's almost over. March 4th will be part two.
Is it fourth or
Yeah,
fifth?
it's 4th. I can
Okay.
read
Okay.
the calendar.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. All right, cool. Well, yeah, but we'll be back next week together. I will be on here on Friday with Deshinda Mock. We're doing a special Epic Spotlight Live, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. I'll be with Deshinda Mock. We're going to be talking about TODI. And if you do not know what TODI is, that'll be a great show for you to listen to. You like how I did that? You like
I
how
did. You know what?
I'm promoting it?
I'm a fan. You're doing real good.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you. And then I will see you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I will see you tomorrow.
We have like 30 questions. It'll be super fun.
Okay.
All right. You guys
All
take
right.
care. Have a great
Bye
day.
guys.